Foster kids. What was the worst family you've ever been housed with? I was put into foster care at 9 after my parents died in a car accident, and a few years later, the Hutchinson family took me in. For the first few months, they were strict but kind. They comforted me when I cried and said they would always treat me like one of their own. My mistake was believing them, because then came Megan, a sweet and soft-spoken 6-year-old. They adopted her a year after I moved in, and from the second she walked through the door, it was like I stopped existing. They put her into ballet classes, took her to birthday parties and family portraits, while I got hand-me-downs and a chore chart. When I asked why she got new clothes and I didn't, they'd say I was too old to be jealous of a 6-year-old girl. When I got A's, it was expected. When she brought home a B-, it was a celebration of progress. Whenever I expressed jealousy, they'd make me feel bad about it and say, "We didn't have to take you in, you should be grateful." I would always have to beg for new clothes, and they would never buy them for me. My diet consisted of chicken nuggets and mac and cheese because that was all Megan requested, and I just needed to adapt. Every night, I cried myself to sleep and wondered what on earth I did to deserve this sort of treatment, so I shut up and stopped speaking to them for years. Well, when I was 15, I tried to get a job to get away from home and finally be able to buy some new clothes and food. And while I was looking for my legal documents in the home office, I found a folder with my name on it. I figured that must be where my birth certificate was, but once I opened it, I found something else inside instead. It was a folder filled with legal documents and caseworker notes. My heart dropped when I read that my foster mom was actually my biological aunt. My heart dropped even more as I realized this was something they knew and just decided to keep from me. And to make matters worse, I saw that they were getting a monthly stipend for fostering me as a blood relative, all while telling me I wasn't family, while treating Megan, an actual stranger, like a princess. That night, I felt the same heartbreak I'd felt all those years ago when my parents died, and I couldn't take it anymore. I ran downstairs clutching the paper tight in my hands and my face red with tears, and I blurted out, "You took me in for money. You told me I wasn't family, but I am. I'm your niece." My aunt responded, "Get over it. You should be glad you're not entirely useless. The money I got from housing you went into buying Megan a new phone." I stood there shocked as she pulled it out and told me not to tell her because it was a surprise and that she had earned it for getting a C+ on a test. I literally ran out of the house crying as she talked, and even though I knew she wouldn't follow after me, part of me wished that she had. But then I remembered all those times they chose Megan over me and bullied me and were cruel, and I knew I never wanted to see any of them again. I ran from the house into a parking lot I used to go to find plastic bottles to trade in for money, and once I was hidden, I called the cops. My hands shook as I dialed, and once someone picked up, my voice cracked as I tried to explain everything to them in tears. After getting picked up by the police and being taken in for questioning, I ended up going back to the foster shelter. It was definitely not what I wanted, but what I expected. My entire case was evaluated, and a month later, a sweet-looking lady and an older man came to the shelter looking to speak to me. I was taken aback by how sweet they were to me. They sat with me in the backyard of the foster house for hours and asked me lots of questions about my life, what I liked, and my hobbies. It was my first time opening up to anyone about my life since my parents died. Once the shelter's visiting hours were over, the woman grabbed my hand tightly in hers and said, "I have something very special I want to ask you." I swallowed hard, as I had no idea what she was about to say, but I could tell she was nervous too. That's when she got eye level with me, asked me if I would be willing to live with them if they adopted me. They knew I deserved so much after what I had been through, and I started crying as I nodded my head. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone truly wanted to help, and I let myself fall into the woman's arms for the longest hug. As much as I miss my parents and struggle with everything I've been put through for the last 6 years, they've been sending me to therapy, and I finally feel like I'm gaining my sense of self back.